everybody, my name is Miss Sheri and I am hanging out in my neighborhood at night, which we all know is the best time, right? At night we can see lots of different things that you can't see during the day. Alright, so the sun is out during the day, which is very cool. The sun is a star, so I guess there's a star you can see during the day. But at night, you can see billions of stars, way more than just the one star, our sun, that you would see during the day, right? Now, this thing that I have here is called a telescope. Telescopes help us to see things that are really far away, like we were looking at them really close up. I use my telescope to see some things in the night sky, like the moon. Now, you've probably walked outside and been able to see the moon without using a telescope, right? That's okay. You can see the moon without a telescope, but with one, you get to see it pretty close up. And we're going to talk a little more about the moon in another video, so stay tuned for that, okay? Other things that you would see through a telescope in the night sky would be stars. More stars than just our sun. Billions and billions and billions. In fact, we just don't know how many there are. The number is too big. And of course, you could stand outside and count them all. I tried it. It took a really long time and I lost track of which one I had counted. But the stars are really beautiful to look at. And in fact, they're special in a particular way. Stars help people figure out where they're going at night. Right, now there are some groups of stars that when you put them together, they kind of make patterns. And these patterns usually have a name. These are called constellations, and that's another thing that we're going to come back to in a little bit. I'm going to show you how to make your very own pocket constellation, something that you can play with inside of your house instead of having to go outside and look at the constellations up above us there. I want to talk about a couple of constellations in particular.
And this constellation is Cassiopeia. And Cassiopeia was a queen from Greek mythology. And she was boastful. She thought she was the most beautiful of all. And so to punish her for being boastful, she was flung or stuck up into the sky where she had to watch everybody else instead of being the most beautiful on Earth. This one is Gemini. And you can see it sort of looks like two people holding hands. Well, Castor and Pollux, as you see the two stars named up there, the ones that look a little bit like their heads, according to mythology, they were brothers, and one brother died. The other brother was so sad that he begged to be next to him in the sky, and so the two of them are now holding hands up in the sky. This constellation is called Orion. And Orion is the hunter. You can sort of see that it looks like Orion is holding a big bow over here. And one of the most common constellation parts to see in the night sky is Orion's belt, or these three very bright stars right in the middle.
Wow, those are really cool constellations, right? And they have some really neat stories behind them. Every culture on Earth has different stories for different groups of stars, different constellations, which is pretty neat stuff. There's some other things that you might see in the night sky as well through your telescope. You may see what look like really bright stars. Those aren't stars.
They're planets. And some of the planets that you may be able to see outside at night are Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, Mars, and Mercury.
Well, I went ahead and put my telescope away because I don't want you to think that you need to have a telescope to enjoy how beautiful it looks outside at night. You can see a lot of stuff without needing a telescope or binoculars, just using your eyes. Now, we're going to head inside and we're going to do our pocket constellation in just a minute. But before we get there, I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to get outside at night. Grab your adult, sit out on your porch or another safe place where you can observe the night sky and look. See what's out there. Maybe you see lots of stars. Maybe you see those brighter looking objects, which could be planets. Maybe you see stuff like planes. Maybe you'll see something that you can't describe. And that's cool stuff too. I want to encourage you to get out there, be curious, and look up. All right, my friends, we are back and we're going to be making our pocket constellations. I am joined by my friend.
Hi,
What's your name, friend?
Alice.
By my friend Alice, and she's going to help us out as well. She'll be making her very own pocket constellations. So we've got 2 of them that are going to be coming your way as examples for when you do this at home. We've got a couple of materials that we've gathered. I'm going to go over those real quick with you. First thing that you'll need is
Toilet paper rolls.
toilet paper tubes, right? You probably have these at home. Keep an eye out for them. Maybe you can't do it just yet, but if you wait a couple of days, you might have one. That's good to go. So we've got one for each of us. And then I printed this sheet off here, and we'll make that available for you. This is a sheet that is actually made for this activity. So we've got constellations, or these little groups of stars, right? Is that what a constellation is?
Yes, it's a group of stars that are joined together to make what's called a constellation. Do any of you know how constellation got their names? Well, constellations got their names by people who saw these constellations back then, who decided they visualized what they saw.
And they made patterns with their imaginations. And sometimes these patterns aligned or went together with stories that we knew from a long time ago. And like I mentioned earlier, every culture has different stories. A lot of the constellations that we talk about and that we're going to talk about a little bit today and that we're going to use for our pocket constellations, they came from Greek mythology. So this is ancient times, quite a long time ago. They had a lot of stories about how the world worked and about the things that happened on Earth and in the sky. So these constellations have stories and names that came from Greek mythology. So what we're going to be doing is making pocket constellations using these, but there are a few other things that I didn't say you need just yet, right? So we've got our toilet paper tubes, we've got this sheet that you can print out as well, and we need tape, then we need something sharp. Now, this can be something that your adult helps you with, but it doesn't have to be super sharp. It just needs to be able to push through paper, this stuff. Now, I have a couple of things that you could use. You could use a sharp pencil. You could use a mini screwdriver. You could even use this. This is a golf tee. It's got a pointy end, right? But what we're going to be using is
a bended
we've got a paper clip that we kind of unraveled a little bit so we could hold it a little better to use this pointy end. And that's what we're going to use today. All right, so you look at this, decide which constellation you would like to do. Which one?
I would like to do Orion, the hunter.
Orion, we do like that one. It's pretty easy to see in the sky. We talked about that one a little bit earlier too. So that one's up here, and I'm going to work on getting that cut out for. I'm going to do Gemini, the twins, which we talked about earlier. Those were the brothers, right? That story about the 2 brothers who wanted to be together. So I'm going to cut this out here. Now, would you like to try to poke the holes through here?
Yes, please.
Okay, so you kind of hold on to it with your hand and then just gently push on the paper like this, okay? All right, there we go. So you work on that while I cut out my bit there. You may need an adult to help you out with this part. That's why we're using a paper clip so that it's not so sharp and it's not gonna hurt Alice if she accidentally pokes her finger with it. So just be careful. You could use maybe a push pin, but that I would probably get an adult to help you out with. You can see that I'm cutting out kind of a big piece of this. I'm not cutting out just the little circle. We only need the little circle. So that little circle, it's going to go on top of, it's going to align or go with the circle that's here. But we need it to be able to fit on here and stay. So I'm leaving this extra so that we can tape it down like this. If you decide you would like to, you can take a pencil or even a marker, crayon, whatever, and you can make the pattern onto here. Right now, these are just the groups of the main stars that make up the constellation, right? But if you wanted to, you could use maybe a pencil and connect the dots here to be the pattern that is Gemini, or make something on your own. You don't have to use this. You can make your very own constellation by poking regular holes through just a piece of paper, however many you want and whatever pattern you want. And then you can draw a pattern on there if you'd like.
I also have a little fun fact about the 3 dots here.
Okay.
They call it Orion's belt.
Orion's belt, right. So that's the hunter Orion. So the pattern that people decided they saw when they looked at this group of stars was a person standing, holding a bow out, and then those 3 stars around his waist, which is like a belt. We're gonna put this on top of here. I'm gonna cut a couple of little lines in here, and I'll show you what that's for in just a moment. You can do this too if you'd like, Alice. I'll pass you the scissors. See how I'm kind of cutting 4 little lines here all the way up to the outside edge of that, okay?
Okay.
So you can try doing that as well. So now these little lines will help it so that when I set my circle on here, I can tape down one section at a time, okay? So that's what we're gonna be doing. So I'm gonna work on taping this while Alice is cutting hers up there. Now, when you're all done taping these up, what's the next step?
You go into a dark room or area.
We're gonna test it by putting light through it using a flashlight.
Like this.
Right, just like that. So for right now, we gotta get ours taped on there, okay? Do you see where it's in the center? You wanna make sure that your holes are in the center of your toilet paper tube, okay? All right, so we're gonna get these all taped up here. Now, constellations are pretty fun to look for in the night sky, but there are other things to look at too, like we talked about. Alice, do you have any favorite nighttime objects, things that you see in the night sky?
Yes.
Like what?
Mine is a planet.
Okay, what, you have a favorite planet?
Yeah.
What is it?
Mine is Saturn. I just like looking at the pretty rings.
The rings around Saturn. Now, what are those rings made of?
Ice.
Earlier, I was looking through my own little telescope inside of my yard, right? I used my yard telescope. It's just a little one, but there are some really big telescopes out there, my friends.
They're so big, they have to go inside a building. You just can't put it in your yard.
Right, there are some telescopes that are so big on Earth that they take up whole buildings. And did you know that there are telescopes in space too? Right, one famous one is called the Hubble telescope. And this telescope's floating around out there in space, and it looks at so much. It looks at things that we would never even dream are out there because we didn't know with the telescopes we had before. This telescope is very powerful. It means it can see really far away. So the Hubble Space Telescope, maybe you can jump online sometime and check out the images or the pictures that the Hubble Space Telescope has recorded for us and sent back to Earth. Some really amazing stuff. The very first telescope was created by Galileo over 400 years ago. That's a pretty long time, right? So even that long ago, people were super interested in space and the stuff that they were seeing up. So now it's gonna be testing time. Let me show you what I got here. There we go. So we've got Alice, she's got her design drawn on there, and I've got mine here. No design, but so you can see through the holes. What we'll do is we're gonna go into a dark space, like a bathroom with the door closed, and find a blank piece of wall. So just like this, where there's nothing really on it. You're gonna take your flashlight, hold it in your tube, see what happens.
Whoa.
MOSH Connect relies on support from our community. If you like what you just saw, please consider donating at www.themosh.org and give us a like on social media at MOSH Jacks so you can stay connected.